Shalom, more praise to Yahweh Shemel Shah, the blind city apostles GMS. This is Anwar Allah coming at you in the video. And in this video, I want to focus on the book of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 12. When the scripture says, Beloved, thinking not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you. Because in this truth, we're going to catch hell in this thing. You know what I'm saying? Might be physical ailments, something financial with your job, spiritual attacks, various different things. And this is a fiery trial. So let's get right to that. 1 Peter 4 and 12. Beloved, thinking not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you. So don't think of it as something strange, something odd, something that's out of the ordinary. Why? Because it comes with the territory. In other words, it comes with having this truth. You're going to have to face fiery trial. So don't think of it as being strange or odd concerning the fiery trial which is to try you. Now look at the word fiery or fiery trial.
Strong's G 4451. Purosis. Purosis.
Purosis. So like pyro, a burning. The burning by which metals are roasted and reduced by a figure drawn from a refiner's fire. Calamities or trials. Calamities or trials that test the character. So that's what that's going into. Okay? Calamities or trials that test the character. So these different calamities and trials that we go through is meant to test your character, your spiritual character, to see if you're going to falter, to see if you're going to apply the scriptures. Because you got guys that came in this thing and they didn't call hell. And then guess what? They ain't want to be in no more. They feel like, I'm catching all this hell just to do this. You know what I mean? They ain't want to do it no more because why? The Most High took that spirit from them. The Most High took that spirit. They couldn't stand that test. Now, before I read on, I want to get a quick scripture. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 48, verse 10. Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. So the Most High said, I have refined thee, but not with silver. Because when you refine a metal, you heat the metal up. And when that metal heats at certain temperatures, the dross, the dross, DROSS, which is, the various unwanted metals, like tin, aluminum, those metals will begin to melt off with intense heat. So it says, behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. So we're not refined with that, like that. No. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. We are refined by going through the furnace of affliction. Okay? And that furnace of affliction is the hell that we catch. It's a furnace. A fiery furnace that tests our character. Sometimes you will have men in the truth that catch hell. And what's going to happen is they're going to start to have doubt. They're going to say to themselves, is it all worth it? If I just leave this truth alone, my life will just go back to normal. They're going to start coming out less and less on Saturdays. They're going to start coming out less and less on Saturdays. Coming out later and later. They're going to go months without doing videos. They're going to come to camp. They're not going to be in the spirit. They're not going to remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. You'll start to see it. Because their character was tested. And they were not refined. So those impurities were not melted away. It was not removed from them. And it remained in them. So when you're in this truth, you can catch hell in this thing that's meant to test your character, your spiritual fortitude. But you're not supposed to waver. Quick scripture. Now this is a primary scripture that was brought out years ago when I first came into this thing. Sirach 2:1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thyself for temptation. That's another type of affliction, temptation. You're gonna be tempted to do things that's off. You know, you're gonna be tempted to sin. But so you gotta prepare your soul for temptation because that's something that's gonna happen in this thing. So when it comes to this being in this truth, you know, you gotta offer up something to Yahweh Shema Shah, so to speak. In other words, it's not like here, the Most High just gave you this truth. Now you just got it. You gotta give something up, meaning what? Those worldly desires. You know? You gotta give up them worldly desires, them worldly wants that you may have. The Most High is not gonna give you this truth without us having to give up something in return. When you got this truth, you dedicated to this thing now. And you gotta abide by the scriptures. You know? Like I said, you gotta offer something up. We do that by offering ourselves up as spiritual sacrifices. By offering spiritual sacrifices. You know, praying, fasting, you know what I'm saying? The various spiritual things that please the Most High. Beloved, thinking, First Peter 4:12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you. Don't think it's strange. It says to try you. Hold on, look at the word try.
Strong's G 3986. Pyrasmas.
Parasmas. An experiment, attempt, trial, proven. Just a lot of stuff here. The trial of man's fidelity, integrity. That means honesty, virtue, constancy. See, that's what it means to be tried. It's a trial, or it's a test of our fidelity, of our faith, of our honesty, how true we really are. Because you know, when those times come, when you're being tested, that shows your true character. That shows what kind of man you really are in this thing. It's like in boxing. You know, you go in the ring, you don't throw any punches. It's they got a term in boxing that goes, it's combat sports, once you quit, you're always a quitter. But that's not necessarily true. You got guys that have slow learning curves. But ultimately, my point being is that, you know, it's a test. Show what kind of person you really are. And when your back is against the wall and you test it, it's going to be proven what man of man you really are, man. It's going to be proven. You could do all these videos, go out and teach and tell this guy he should do this and that guy should do that. You could run the Passover. You could do all of that. You know, be the head of the Passover. You could do all of that. But when it's time for your character to be shown, that's going to show what kind of man you really are in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shah. When you test it. You know, a lot of guys never really been through nothing. So it's easy for them to come out and do this thing. Come out and do it, you know what I'm saying? And teach. Now what happens when your job wants you to work on Saturdays? Now what? And that's a good paying job with benefits. You've been hoping they called you back for a year. You know? What's going to happen when that woman of yours is upset you're always going out? What's going to happen when your family got an issue with what you're doing? Now what? What you going to do? Just give it up? Stop teaching to please them? Huh? You going to take Saturday off on Valentine's Day because your girl want to go somewhere? Some guys don't go and do that. So the trial of man's fidelity, integrity, virtue, constancy. I'm scrolling, reading down. It says, an eternal temptation to sin. I guess it's other things. Oh, this is C right now. I'm reading. The first thing I read was 2 when I read A. I'm reading C now. I read A at the top, not the A at the bottom. Of the condition of things or mental state by which we are enticed to sin or to a lapse from the faith and holiness. Adversity, affliction. This is D. Adversity, affliction, trouble, sent by the Most High and serving to test or prove one's character, faith, holiness. So it's to prove our character, man. find out what man and man which you are. You know? Are you hate? Are you gold? Beloved, thinking that strange concerning the fiery child to try you, as some strange thing happened to you. Don't think something strange is gonna happen, because we just read in Sirach 2:1. It comes to territory. When now come to serve the Lord, prepare thyself with temptation. So it comes to territory. Okay? You won't catch hell in this thing.